To eliminate the time of calls to small functions, C++ proposes a new function called inline function. An inline function is a function that is expanded inline when it is invoked, thus saving time. The compiler replaces the function call with a corresponding function code that reduces the overhead of function calls. We should note that inlining is only a request to the compiler, not a command. The compiler can ignore and skip the request for inlining. The compiler may not perform inlining in the following circumstances, that is, if a function contains a loop, if your function is recursive, if your function contains some static variables, if the function contains some switch command or goto statement, or if your function not returning values if a return statement exists. Let's have a look at how a normal function works and an inline function works. One of the major objectives of using functions in a program is to save memory, which becomes very useful when a function is likely to be called many times. However, every time a function is called, it takes a lot of extra time in executing tasks. That is, if you are making a call to this function 1, it binds with the function body. It moves to the function body or the function definition, binds there, executes the task whatever is done, and then it returns to from where it was called. Whereas if the same was an inline function, you can skip all these overheads. Suppose you're calling this inline function here, it doesn't go and jump and bind with the function definition. The body of the function gets inserted within the main function, as you can see here. So thereby you can reduce the overheads to a function call if you are using inline function. But as said, it is a request to the compiler. It is not a command. So your compiler can skip this if required. So let's write a program to implement an inline function, say square, that is computing the square of a number. So first statement is file inclusion. Include your namespace std. Now I'm going to make use of the inline function. So how do you define the inline function? Use the keyword inline. Then you define your function. So let's say that our function is returning an integer. The function name is square and my function is taking an integer argument a. Now you can define the body of your function. So since it is returning an integer, you need to have a return statement. So return, let's say it is returning the square of a. So a into a. I have created my inline function here. I have made use of the keyword inline. Then I define my function with the return type integer, name of the function square, and the function is taking an integer argument a. The body of the function is it's returning a into a, that is the square of the value is returned. Now inside the main, I'll make a call to this inline function. So call to inline function is done as you call a normal function. So let me call this inside a cout statement. Let's write square equal to. And then let me call the function square. Since your function is taking one integer entity, you need to pass an integer value. So let me pass 2. So when I pass this 2, this is the function call. I am passing the function square with the value 2. So this will return the square of number, that is 2 into 2, 4 will be your output. So let's verify this, build and run your program. Yes, you can see your output here, square, equal to 4. So this is how you create an inline function and you invoke the same. So we must keep inline functions small. Small inline functions have better efficiency and good results. Like the example what you have said, it's a small function, just a single statement, return of A into A. Now inline functions do increase the efficiency, but we should not turn all the functions inline, because if we make large functions inline, it may lead to code bloat and might end up decreasing the efficiency. So these points has to be remembered while using inline functions.